Would you risk the next 60 years of your life for a bag of cash you might never even get to spend? Seriously, think about that. Most people think bank robberies only happen in high-budget Hollywood movies like Heat or The Town. You know, the professional crews, the complex blueprints, the cinematic escapes. But in a quiet, leafy suburb like Berea, Ohio, the movies became a terrifying, cold-blooded reality. On a random Tuesday, a man walked into a bank with a note, a plan, and a very loud gun. But what happened next? Well, that's where the plan fell off a cliff. This isn't just a heist story. It's a masterclass in how a perfect plan can go south in exactly 5 minutes. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a case that feels like it was written by a screenwriter on a serious caffeine binge. We're talking about the Berea Bank Robbery, a heist that started with a simple note and ended with a high-speed chase that looked like a deleted scene from Grand Theft Auto. We're going to break down the psychology of the robber, the fatal mistakes he made, and the sheer bad luck that eventually brought him down. If you're into true crime and what were they thinking moments, you're in the right place. Stick around until the end, because the twist in the getaway is something you literally cannot make up. Let's get into it. Berea, Ohio, population? Roughly 18,000. It's the kind of peaceful American town where people leave their back doors unlocked and actually know their neighbor's dog's name. It's a college town home to Baldwin Wallace University. It's peaceful. It's boring. And for a criminal, that's the ultimate bait. Nobody expects a shootout in a town famous for its grindstone festival. On this specific morning at the Old National Bank, the tellers were just finishing their first coffees. It was a normal day. People were checking their balances, talking about the weather. Then a dark SUV pulled into the lot. No screeching tires. No suspicious masks, not yet. Just a man walking toward the glass doors, looking like any other customer. But underneath his jacket, he was carrying enough chaos to change that town forever. Now, point number 2. The note. Most professional heists involve a team, encrypted radios, and heavy weaponry. Our guy, he went old school. He walked straight up to the counter, didn't say a word, and just handed over a note. Can you imagine the vibe shift in that room? 1 second you're asking about a savings account, the next you're reading a handwritten threat that says you might not go home for dinner. The note was specific. He wanted certain denominations. No dye packs. No GPS trackers. He wanted clean money. But here's the kicker about quiet money. It's really hard to get when you're visibly shaking. Eyewitnesses later said the robber wasn't some cold-blooded pro. He was terrified. And honestly, a nervous man with a gun is the most dangerous person in the world. He isn't calculating. He's reacting. He showed the teller his weapon just enough to let her know he wasn't joking. In a bank robbery, time isn't just money, it's your life. The police station in Berea isn't exactly on the other side of the world. Our guy had roughly 180 seconds before the silent alarm brought the entire force down on him. He's frantically shoving bills into a bag. 500, 1,000, 5,000. The numbers are climbing. But then greed kicks in. He wants the vault. Look, if you're gonna rob a bank, maybe Google how bank vaults work first. Just a thought. Vaults have time locks. You can't just yell at them to open. He realizes he's stuck. The faint sound of sirens starts to bleed through the walls. He panics, grabs the half-full bag, and bolts for the door. He's ahead of the cops, but only by a few seconds. Here's a pro tip for any aspiring villains out there. If you're trying to disappear in a small town, maybe don't use a massive, dark SUV that stands out like a sore thumb. He jumps in, peels out of the parking lot, and heads for the main road. Now, Berea has some tricky intersections. It's also got train tracks, lots of them, and in a stroke of absolute cosmic justice, as he's trying to make his clean break, he gets caught behind a freight train. You can't make this up. He's sitting there, heart-pounding, bag of stolen cash on the passenger seat, watching a literal mile-long train crawl past while the police sirens get louder and louder. It's like the universe itself decided to hit the pause button on his escape. Talk about a bad day at the office. When the FBI looks into people who pull stunts like this, they almost always find a pattern. It's rarely about the big score or living like a king. It's usually about a mounting pile of debt, a lost job, or a midlife crisis that went nuclear. In the Berea case, we're looking at a man who wasn't a career criminal. He didn't have a record that screamed heist specialist. He was just a guy who felt backed into a corner and thought a bag of cash was his only exit strategy. And that's the scariest part of true crime, isn't it? It's not always monsters in masks. Sometimes it's just a guy you'd pass at the grocery store who finally snapped. But snapping comes with a price, and for him that price was about to be paid in full. Now, the culmination. The part where the story goes from unfortunate to absolutely insane. He eventually found a way around the train, but the police had already spotted the SUV. They tried to pull him over, but our guy decided to turn a bank robbery into a multi-city high-speed chase. We're talking 90 miles per hour through residential zones. The SUV is weaving through traffic, clipping mirrors, narrowly missing minivans. At this point, the money is irrelevant. The bag of cash is probably flying around the back seat like confetti. He ends up boxed in, not by a train this time, but by 6 cruisers and a K-9 unit. It's a standoff in the middle of the afternoon. He's surrounded. He's got the gun. The officers have theirs. He looks at the bag. He looks at the snipers. And finally, he realizes the movie is over. He drops the weapon. The dream of a millionaire lifestyle ended with his face pressed against the hot asphalt and a pair of cold steel handcuffs. So, what's the lesson here? Other than don't rob banks, obviously. It's a reminder that in the age of digital tracking, instant communication, and train schedules, the era of the successful bank robber is dead. Our guy is now facing decades in federal prison for an amount of money that wouldn't even buy a decent house in today's market. Was it worth it? Probably not. If you found this breakdown fascinating, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow so I can keep digging up these stories for you. Also, I want to hear from you. Was he just a desperate guy who made a mistake? Or is there no excuse for putting a whole town in danger? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Thanks for hanging out with me today. My name is your host, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.